Why did you want to come out here and send
their
this
message? It is a message of a call for justice, for swift justice for George Floyd, for systemic justice for all brown and black people who have been under the knee of this country in ways that we have witnessed time and again. This is wrong. And this rising up, this spontaneous uprising of people, mostly half my age or younger, they're the ones we should be listening to.
And they're angry at the president.
They're so angry.
They're angry at the president. So what is your message to President Trump today?
Well, I've given up speaking to President Trump. We need to replace President Trump. We need leadership that will lead us in the ways that this country deserves.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We are upset about the fire as well, but that is not our primary focus. Our primary focus is the reason behind, the fundamental reasons behind the protests in our country right now. There is a deep desire for the fundamental issues at stake brought to light by the murderous death of George Floyd and the countless others that we've witnessed in this long string of violence against Black and brown people, that needs to be addressed in a systemic, fundamental way in the from every police department in the country and the vigilante civilian actions that are taken. The gospel of Jesus and the teachings of the scripture are antithetical to the messages that he is communicating and the way he is responding to people in this moment, and that there is no spiritual mantle of authority for the actions that he had just moments before said that he would take.
All right, guys, so we got to follow up on the viral story involving the woke bishop by the name of Miss Marianne Egger-Budd, who decided to inject her far-left woke politics into the national prayer sermon, in which she basically lectured Trump and his administration on how they should show some mercy to trans kids and illegal immigrants, right? That is what this woman decided to do, okay? One of the most disgusting things that I've ever seen in my life, okay? She should be ashamed of herself. But she has been exposed as a far-left, radical, woke activist. So nobody's really surprised, right? I'm not surprised knowing her background that this is what she decided to do. I'm just surprised that nobody vetted her beforehand and said, hey, you know what? Maybe it's not a good idea to let this woman lead the national prayer sermon when she has these far-left beliefs, okay? And she's also extremely Trump deranged, okay? So she's now getting a whole lot of backlash. People are speaking out about this and saying, hey, this was not right. This was a disgrace.
Can you feel the excitement in the air? I mean, I was actually walking around in the bitter cold, partially because I couldn't get an Uber, but people are smiling, right? They're in a good mood. It's quite refreshing. And I think they're doing that because they know it's a new day in America. Monday was a celebration for most Americans. However, not everyone is happy about the direction that our country is headed, which is actually disappointing. For example, yesterday at the National Prayer Service, the bishop was extreme in her views, extremely out of line and out of touch. And what she did was uncalled for. Perhaps we should pray for
doctrinal differences here playing out in church. What do you think, Scott?
These woke Scapalians or Episcopokians or whatever they're calling themselves today, this is ridiculous. This was terrible. Donald Trump, I'm sure, regrets participating in this event today to be lectured to and politicized in a church this way. And I thought it was, frankly, a disgrace to what they did at this event. I don't know if this event will happen ever again because of this. This particular bishop took it upon herself to turn this into a complete and total circus and spectacle. And I don't know any Republican today who's like, oh, wow.
Well, it was a very really long service. Right?
Yeah, so Scott Jennings is right. Okay, he's 100% right, as per the usual. No Republican woke up this morning and is like, damn, I really need to change my political beliefs. I need to change how I feel about allowing kids to transition, or I need to change how I feel about allowing illegal immigrants into the country, right? If anything, it made me kind of double down in my beliefs, right? It made my beliefs stronger. So I think she got the exact opposite effect that was intended here, right? I don't think anybody's mind was changed. And as Scott Jennings said, it was a disgrace. It was a clown show, a complete and total clown show. And the clown show hasn't stopped, okay? Because now the woke bishop is taking the clown show to the liberal media in order to explain herself and why she did what she did. Because she needs to be sheltered from criticism, the backlash that she is getting for becoming a political activist in the pulpit. So yeah, this is why she ran to CNN and The View, okay, as Trump is demanding an apology for the bishop's woke activism.
Of that particular National Cathedral. Here she is last night on CNN explaining what she wanted to do.
I was speaking to the president because I felt that he has this moment now where he feels charged and empowered to do what he feels called to do. And I wanted to say, you know, there is room for mercy. There's room for a broader compassion. We don't need to portray with a broad cloth in the harshest of terms some of the most vulnerable people in our society.
So Trump wants an apology, and he made that clear. He said the so-called bishop who spoke at the National Prayer Service on Tuesday morning was a radical left hardline Trump hater. She brought her church into the world of politics in a very ungracious way. She was nasty in tone and not compelling or smart. She failed to mention the large number of illegal immigrants that came into our country and killed people. Many were deposited from jails and mental institutions. It's a giant crime wave that is taking part in the USA. Apart from her inappropriate statements, the service was very boring and uninspiring. She is not very good at her job. She and her church owe the public an apology. You got this historic moment, and she decides to give a lecture. A self-important person who probably had AOC jot some notes down before.
You know what? I mean, she has every right to her opinion. We all have an opinion on this issue.
Right.
But I don't like it when ministers bring politics into the pulpit and try to lecture you. So I agree with you. Maybe pull him aside after the service and say, Mr. President, may I talk to you for a little bit? There's something in my community that bothers me that I need to tell you about.
Yeah, so as stated before, this woke activist is running to the liberal media for cover, okay, because she's getting a whole lot of backlash, and she ran to The View. Of course, The View welcomed her with open arms. Come on in, right? Let's be Trump deranged together. And the bishop went on The View to claim that, hey, no. Actually, it's not me. I'm not the problem. Actually, no, Trump is the problem in regards to what I said, right? What I said was not the issue. It's actually Trump. And also she claims that she did that for unity.
You seem to have more fearlessness than anyone in Congress right now, ma'am. What made you decide to use that opportunity for this message, or didn't you have any apprehension about it?
My response, thank you, first of all, for allowing me to be with you today. My responsibility that morning, yesterday morning, was to reflect, to pray with the nation for unity. And as I was pondering what are the foundations of unity, I wanted to emphasize respecting the honor and dignity of every human being, basic honesty and humility. And then I also realized that that unity requires a certain degree of mercy and compassion and understanding. And so knowing that a lot of people, as I said, in our country right now are really scared, I wanted to take the opportunity in the context of that of service for unity to say we need to treat everyone with dignity, and we need to be merciful. And I was trying to counter the narrative that is so divisive and polarizing, and in which real people are being harmed.
Okay. Bishop, predictably, you seem to strike a nerve. President Trump initially said yesterday it was, quote, not a good service, unquote. But overnight, he took to social media to say you were a, quote, radical left hardline Trump hater, unquote, that you brought the church into politics and that you owe your church and the public an apology. Now, given your role, it doesn't seem surprising that you would speak out for the marginalized, as anyone who's read the Bible and knows the path of Jesus. But do you think your message is being misconstrued and politicized?
Well, sure. Yeah. But I think if you read what I said, and I mean, how could it not be politicized, right? We're in a hyper political climate. One of the things I caution about is the culture of contempt in which we live that immediately rushes to the worst possible interpretations of what people are saying and to put them in categories such as the ones you've just described. That's part of the air we breathe now. And I was trying to speak a truth that I felt needed to be said, but to do it in as respectful and kind a way as I could. And also to bring other voices into the conversation, which voices that had not been heard in the public space for some time.
Yeah, so you see now, you heard that. You have the woke bishop doing her rounds on the liberal media in order to defend the indefensible, which was the fact that she decided to politically lecture the president of the United States the day after he was inaugurated. And here's the thing about this, right? She claims that, well, I did it for unity, right? And what she asked for is that she asked for mercy when it comes to transgender kids and illegal immigrants. Now, what does she actually really means, right? What she actually really means is that, no. What I want you to do is that I want you to allow gender affirming care for minors, right? That is what she's pushing. She's not asking for mercy. What she's asking for is for Trump to not ban gender affirming care, because according to her, that is supposed to be unifying. However, the problem with this argument from the left, which is that, hey, you must agree with us, do what we want in order to unify the country, right, is that most voters don't agree with this, okay? A majority of voters do not agree with allowing kids to undergo gender affirming care, right? In fact, most voters favor a federal ban on that, okay? For example, let's read here. Most registered voters, 59%, support a federal ban on gender procedures such as puberty blockers and gender reassignment surgeries for minors, a new national poll found. The strongest support for a federal ban came from registered Republicans, while the lowest amount of support for it came from registered Democrats. Independence poll offered majority support for a ban with 56% in favor. The Center Square Voters Voice poll was conducted by Noble Predictive Insights between October 2nd to 4th and surveyed 2,560 registered voters. The margin of error for the aggregate sample was plus or minus 2.1%. So yeah, here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. There are plenty of polls that show the same thing. In fact, I feel like Americans, as time moves on, they're definitely pushing back against this idea that minors should be able to transition or undergo gender affirming care. So Trump allowing it is not unifying, right? That's not unifying. In fact, that actually is more divisive. That is causing more division. When it comes to the illegal immigrants, well, according to the liberal media outlets that this woman is running to, even those outlets are saying that, well, the American people agree with mass deportations of illegal immigrants.
Sometimes I like blunt questions because they sort of get at the underlying feelings that people have. So this is about as blunt a question as you can get. Deport all immigrants here illegally. I will note the ABC News poll asked about undocumented immigrants. So we have slightly different questions, but these were all taken within the last month. And there's real uniformity here. That's what I really think you see. You see real uniformity. Deport all immigrants who are here illegally. 55% of the New York Times. Marquette, 64%. CBS News, 57%. ABC News with a slightly different question, 56%. So what you're seeing essentially here is a very clear indication that a majority of Americans, in fact, when they're asked this blunt question, which I believe gets at the underlying feelings, do in fact want to deport all immigrants who are here illegally. There's no arguing with these different numbers because they're all essentially the same across 4 different pollsters.
So if they say yes today-ish, how has that changed over time?
Yeah, this is where I think you get very interesting. And so we'll take a look at that ABC News question in particular, because you can really see that there's been a massive shift from when Trump was first getting into office 8 years ago, right? Deport all undocumented immigrants. You go back to 2015, I'm going to come to your side of the screen, it was 42%. Hello. Go to 2016, it was 36%. Look at where we are now. This was taken at the end of last year, 56%. This is 20 points higher than it was just before Trump got into office the first time. So feelings towards immigration in this country, feelings towards undocumented immigrants and deporting all of them have become considerably more hawkish. And I think that gives Donald Trump much more leverage to go with the American people and sort of have these hawkish, some might say harsh different rhetoric and also issue-based sort of going after immigrants who are here illegally. And so I think the American people are going to give Donald Trump the benefit of the doubt to do what he wants to do, at least if you believe these blunt questions, including this one.
How about immigration levels?
Yeah, okay. So this sort of goes in line with that, right? Which is, again, trying to get at the underlying feelings. Want immigration levels decreased. This includes legal and illegal immigration. Look at this. Last year, 55%. That is the highest level since the 9/11 aftermath. You go back just to 2020.
And this, again, legal and illegal. So people want less people coming into the country.
Exactly. They want less people coming into the country. Look at that. That's a 14-point rise from 2023. You go back to 2016 when Donald Trump again was running for president the first time. It was 38%. That's a 17-point rise. So the bottom line is more folks want people who are here illegally deported, and their overall feelings towards immigration have become considerably more hawkish since Donald Trump was first getting in office, Kate.
Thank you, Harry.
Thank you.
John?
Boom. Boom. So, I mean, according to the numbers, according to the data, Trump's agenda is actually much more unifying than whatever agenda this woke bishop is trying to push on Trump and his administration, right? If it was really about unity, then the data is not aligning with the policies that the woke bishop was pushing for during her sermon, because that's what she was doing. She was pushing for political policy. She wants Trump to essentially turn the other way, right? Turn the other cheek, so to speak, as, you know, minors undergo gender affirming care, which is something that American people don't agree with. She also wants Trump not to deport the illegal immigrants, which is also something that American people don't agree with. So again, tell me what is unifying about what this pastor was proposing. I don't think there was anything unifying about it. If anything, I think it was more divisive. So with that being said, ultimately, I believe that the quick fix here is just to never have this woman do a national prayer service ever again. Ever again. And that's it, right? And just move on at the end of the day. Because this woman's a woke activist and she doesn't belong in the pulpit. Clearly, she doesn't really believe what's in the Bible. Otherwise, she would be doing what she's doing right now. But, you know, hey, that's neither here nor there. My point is that what this woman was doing was uncalled for. It's an easy fix. She just should not be allowed to do that anymore. And also on top of that, these so-called progressive Christians, I'm not sure if they're practicing Christianity, right? I'm not sure. I don't know what religion they're practicing, but it's definitely not consistent with what's in the Bible. It's just not. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.